Great. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Marianne Hurley. I think most of you know me. I am the co-chair of the board, as well as at this point the co-interim ED, along with my partner in crime here, Lisa Pattinson, who I think most of you know. So welcome to the town hall. We've had a couple of these in the past, and Veronica had this brilliant idea that we could create a Slido so we could get questions up front, get them anonymously. People might not want to ask to our face. So anyway, this is your opportunity to hear from us and for us to hear from you and to answer some of the questions that you might have. I thought what I would do is just kind of go through the letter that Lisa and I sent to you, really as sort of a reminder of all the wonderful things that are going on in the club. And then we will turn it over to Lisa. I think you've got some comments as well. And then Terry Mock and Molly Doyle will take the bulk of our presentation to talk about the 50th anniversary that we're really excited about. Hope to get you excited as well. And then we will sort of open it up for questions. So feel free to add your questions to the Slido. And we'll ask Veronica to kind of manage us to make sure that we don't run out of time and we do make sure we answer your questions. So, it was an easy email to write to everyone just because there's so much going on. And sometimes, you get so busy doing, you forget to share and communicate. So we felt, even though it was leading up to Labor Day, hopefully you would take a minute to kind of reflect on all the things, the great things that are coming forward. So we started with networking. And networking to me is sort of the professional side of it, but I really call it also building community, which is really a part of the club. And was really excited to hear and read about the mentoring opportunities that are out, both peer mentoring and the mentoring circle. Really kudos to Molly, Edith, and the mentoring committee, because really they've taken this really so much further, and we're thrilled. It's really a resource that is unique to the club and really valuable to the club members. So thank you. We also reminded people that there are all these affinity groups, and I happened to point out that I had been to a dinner club just a couple nights before for the Garden City, which is Newton, and just wonderful, just fun, informative, just a great way to get together and meet other club members. So there are a number of these dinner clubs across the area, Greater Boston. And if you haven't signed up already, you should. They're very casual, but it's a great way to meet people. And I think you'll really enjoy it. And I also mentioned the walking club just because I lead that. So we hope to see you there. But there are so many more affinity groups. And I don't know if there's anybody that wants to make a mention about an affinity group, either they're working on or working or leading. To remind members to join. I don't know if I can see any hands, but if there's anybody that wants to speak up, please do so. No? Okay, great.
I'll go. Well, this is Joy Kurth. Yeah, so
hi.
Anna and I are launching the Emerging Technology and AI Affinity Group. I think it's September 28th at 11 a.m. if I remember correctly. So I know that there's been some announcements, but would love to see you there. I have a background in technology, and Anna has an extensive background in AI, and I think it'll be a really great practical affinity group for us all to learn.
That's great. So Joy, do we need any I don't know, skills or something to join this? Is this open to everybody? Or?
No, the opposite. It's meant to the hope, my goal is that it's a collaborative contribution as well, because we're all being exposed to new AI tools on a daily basis. But that's the idea, is that it gives you the opportunity to learn about something you might not have heard about before, and be aware of a new tool that, I just saw a different AI announcement yesterday, like learn AI before, you need to learn about what's going on in the industry. So this will be the opportunity. You don't have to have any background, but just come and you'll learn something new.
Perfect.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Molly?
Can I just put a plug in on the peer mentoring and mentorship circles as well, just because we're in the application cycle, Marianne, so I want to make sure everybody understands. We are kicking off the 21st year of the peer mentoring program here at the Boston Club, which we get such great feedback from members who have participated in that over time about not only what they've learned and how they've grown through the relationships, but also the value of the community that they've created through the mentorship program. So we are looking for both mentees and mentors. So for anyone out there, further along in their career, interested in, supporting another member in their journey, applications are open, or reach out to Edith and I, and we would love to have you as part of the program. And Edith, do you want to talk about mentorship circles?
Sure. So mentorship circles are a new offering that we're having this year. So whereas our traditional mentoring program is one-on-one mentoring relationship, the mentorship circles are a group mentoring opportunity. Our focus for this year, or this group, is on transitions. We have a couple of terrific people, Leah Spiliotis and Marnie, whose last name I just forgot, who are going to be leading and facilitating this process. We already have about 5 people signed up, and the group can accommodate up to 10. So looking forward to having people join that and kicking that off this year as well.
Great. Thank you both. That's great. Was there anything else, Veronica, before I move on? Just a quick note on some of the programs, if you haven't seen them, that are already up there, events that are on the calendar. Josna, whose name I probably will butcher, so I'm just going to leave it at Josna, leading the launch for the civic leadership. And it's a truly unique program. I think we're very excited about it. It really does we've done corporate leadership and training and resources for board service. We've added the nonprofit board service, education, and connection. And I think adding the civic leadership is really sort of the third leg of the stool. So we're very excited about it. And we know a lot of members, and actually past members. I had a conversation with some who have left the club. They're older and they said, gee, I'm not really in the traffic anymore. It's not professional. But when I mentioned this, their eyes lit up and they thought, wow, maybe I should be looking at this. So kudos to Josna on that. And the nonprofit meet and greet, which has really become a favorite for the club members, is coming up on the 16th of October. And that's always a great event to see members, but also to meet nonprofits, to get to know them and possibly think about a leadership role in those organizations. And corporate board service, as I said, it continues. And for those people interested, it's a terrific program, and do look at the event page because there's lots going on there. And finally, the corporate salute, which is one of the signature events of the club. We'll kick off our 50th anniversary year, and we'll have Terry and Molly tell more about that. But it is scheduled for December 10th at Bentley University. They've hosted us the last couple of years. They're a wonderful host. It's a great morning. We had a terrific program last year, and I promise you, lots going on this year. This is the first year that companies no longer feel compelled or required to report number of women and women of color on their boards and in leadership. It's going to be very interesting to see who does continue to report and who doesn't. So they've been working hard to find that data, even when it's not reported. So it should be a wonderful, wonderful morning and very telling. With that, maybe I'd like to turn over to Lisa Pattinson. Have you got some updates for us? Thanks.
Well, I wanted to just do a little bit of plug since we have so many great members here, just to talk about, over time, we've changed some of the membership requirements for joining the club and whatnot, and we've taken away the requirement to have a sponsor and whatnot. But you can imagine, Veronica, as director of membership, has spliced and diced our data a whole bunch of different ways. And the truth of the matter is, the people who join and the members who stay do it because they're brought to the club by a friend. So I would encourage all of you to realize that we are a membership organization that, really does thrive if we continue to grow our membership base. So if you know of anyone who would benefit from it, if you are uncertain at all as to what the current criteria are or anything, you can certainly shoot Veronica a message, or Kathy McCone-Simons or Carrie Sue Bench, who work on the membership committee, or anybody on that committee for that matter. But just you really are the lifeblood of making this grow and making it grow in a successful way. So I just want to remind you all while you're here that if you haven't thought of it lately, think through your list of, connections on LinkedIn or whatever and say, she'd be good for this. This would be great. So
Mhm, mhm.
want to make that plug. And was there anything else I was supposed to touch on?
No, I don't think so. I think we could maybe turn it over to Terry and
Yep.
Molly to talk to us about the 50th anniversary,
Mhm.
and then we can answer questions.
Oh, okay. Well, so glad to be here. We're excited about this 50th year of celebration.
Mhm.
I am going to unveil to you some of our messaging right now. So I'm going to share that with you on screen. Let's see if this works. Do you see?
We can see
50?
your
We do.
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
We
You
see it.
can. Okay. So then the next thing is if I could
Slide
show
mode
it
up
as
top.
a slideshow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
Well, one thing I want to ask you is, I don't even know, but what were you doing in 1975? Some of you weren't even born. Some of you were, but pretty young, but still looking young. But just imagine the club having started in 1975, which was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. That's what we're celebrating. The fact that we've been in existence for 50 years and that we've continued to advance women leaders. That's what we're all about. So we're going to take this 50th year and celebrate what has been achieved in the past. Consider what we're currently doing today with all the great programs and mentoring and networking, and then look forward to the future. So I'm super excited. I signed up, to co-chair this so-called steering committee with Molly, but I was truly inspired by a lunch with a 40th, a longtime member who did the 40th. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm pretty busy. What more can I do? And she literally looked around the table at lunch and said, well, it was pretty tough back then, 19, whatever, like, I think she was around in 1975, 1985, 1995, but it's not over. You need to keep going. You need to keep advancing women leaders, keep making things available for women today and the younger generation to come. So that's part of what we want to do in our celebration and looking forward. And as part of this, we wanted to unite the club in terms of our overall messaging. What are we all about? Can we all talk the same language? Can we get the same sort of enthusiasm to talk to our friends, to talk to our colleagues, to talk to someone in the younger generation, to talk to someone who is maybe even in the older generation, right? So we were fortunate to benefit from the pro bono services of a PR agency, a woman-led PR agency called V2. I had worked with them before, and they walked us through this messaging sort of process. And what you're going to hear is just the outcomes and the results of that. But I hope that you feel as excited as I am about the synthesis of ideas and about who we are as a club. So the positioning statement, it's kind of the North Star that tells us what are we doing on this 50th celebratory year. Okay. And it's an internal only statement. So you could see it's a super long run on sentence. It's not meant for you to be like sharing, maybe, like sending it out and saying, this is who we are. But it's to keep in mind all these concepts of like who we are as a club and as a member of the club. And so I like to talk about it by breaking it down. And this came from a diverse group of women representing different committees, different age groups, different backgrounds, because it was a set of 10 people. We had input from 14. So, we needed to be focused, yet we wanted diverse perspectives. And a synthesis of ideas comes through in this one statement. to women and the organizations and allies that support them. So we're talking to all of us, you, me, other women, but beyond that, the whole ecosystem of organizations that we're involved in, whether it's our companies or our nonprofits that we work on, and allies. That's really important. We've all learned that allies support you and guide you and help you along. So this is directed for us, right? The Boston Club's 50th anniversary is an opportunity to meet the moment. Well, it's a moment. It's the 50th year. It's the golden anniversary. It's also a moment in terms of where we are today in our current times. We wanted to emphasize that this is a moment for us to celebrate, to engage, and to support. So that's what that next phrase is about. And it's about current and next generation. Obviously, appreciating the past and former members that have given so much, but more so looking ahead and looking forward to supporting women today and supporting women that are rising stars in the future. The areas that Marianne mentioned, the 3 pillars: corporate, nonprofit, and civic life, right? How can we get involved and developing women leaders in those 3 spheres so that we can live in a world where gender bias no longer exists? Now, this phrase came from someone in that workshop that we did. And it really captures where we want to be. Like we were asked, when would the club no longer need to exist? Because we've achieved, the end vision of what we want to do. So someone actually said that, a world where gender bias no longer exists. Another person said, where women's potential knows no bounds. Isn't that like truly like where we want to head and where we want to get, provide opportunities for women? And it's not just for ourselves, because it's really because we know that having women in leadership roles makes businesses and communities stronger. There's an impact that we have as women in a community, in whatever communities we are, in the corporate world, in the nonprofit world, in our civic life, in our families, because women leaders make a difference in the businesses and the communities where they live. And so this captures, to me at least, like who we are as an organization, where we want to go, and what we want to do during this important 50th year. So I wanted to share that with you. And then beyond that, V2 helped us to create a messaging framework, and Molly's going to walk you through that. Molly?
Great. All right. Thanks, Terry, for taking us through that. And I, too, am very excited to be here working with you and the rest of the board and all the committees that make the Boston Club such a great experience for all of us. So Terry took us through that high-level positioning. What are we trying to accomplish in the world? We then stepped back and said, how do we make that real? How do we act upon that concept and make it real in all that we're doing across the 50th year? Again, this is the messaging for the 50th year. And so we went through an exercise where we defined what it is we're really trying to do this year, why we are doing it, how we're going to go about it, and who we are targeting for that. And the good news is so much of what the club is already doing, all the committees, all the affinity groups are working towards this goal today. And so in a way, it's putting a wrap around this, amplifying and improving the messaging and the coordination across all those efforts. So from a messaging perspective, what we are trying to do is celebrate women's advancements in the workplace and a dedication to progress it forward in 4 areas, our 4 pillars as we've talked about. Corporate and startup, that's really the for-profit business world, where we are aiming to have greater parity for women on boards, in leaderships, across the board in the business setting. On the nonprofit side, we want to continue our good work on placing women on boards of important organizations in our community, and we will continue to invest in that. Civic is the new area that we are forming a committee to work with to help us position Boston Club members to understand better how they can contribute from a civic perspective and take on more important roles in leadership through civic engagement. And then on the personal side, as we've always found, the connections, the relationships, the support that we offer one another through all of our programs helps us be better in our work lives, our home lives, and our civic lives. So that's where we're going to focus across those 4 pillars. From a why, I think we all live this why every day, every year over the last 50 years. While we make up half the population, we do not share an equal number of board seats, executive positions, funding opportunities if you're in the space where you're trying to raise money, or in government roles. So women and their allies must make their voices and perspectives heard so that one day we can live in a world where gender bias simply does not exist. That's why we are here together to support one another. How we're going to do that is for the 50th anniversary, TPC is committed to advancing women to reach their fullest potential across all aspects of their lives. And this is made possible through TPC's dedicated members who are committed to celebrating the women who have paved the way. And there are many, many women on this call and not on this call who have laid the foundation of this organization and have helped so many of us move forward in our careers. And we want to honor them while we are also preparing to support the next generation of women leaders. We will do this through the normal operation of the club, as well as through some special events for this year. The annual census will continue. The world has changed around the annual census and our access to data for how many women are on boards and how many people are in the C-suite. But nevertheless, efforts continue to try to understand that and shine a light on it so that we can make progress. We will continue to offer meaningful events and programming, and that calendar is available on the website under events. We will invest in our new focus on civic engagement, and we will continue our leadership development programs through mentorship, board sponsorship, education programs, etc. And in terms of who we are targeting, we are a New England-based community, and we are focusing on professional women who are looking to deepen their connections, their network, advance their careers, and increase their impact in the broader world across business and other aspects.
All right. Well, thanks. So as you can tell, having this sort of centralized, focused messaging will help us all internally and externally be on the same page. And we want to continue to advocate and support all the great work that's happening. So the rollout for the 50th is just beginning. Like the co-chairs we're meeting with them this week. And then in the committees and the other groups, you will hear more about what's happening. And so there's a lot going on. There's like as I mentioned, a steering committee. So we will be working together with the various committees and co-chairs to facilitate and coordinate all the work that is happening. But there's a lot of great programs. There's a lot of great connections and networking opportunities. And there's a lot of opportunities to get involved. So if you are excited and interested in helping in a big way or little way, contact myself, Molly, Lisa, Marianne, anyone on the board, and they will, point you to us, and we can definitely use your help. As part of this 50th messaging, you probably noticed that this is a different looking template, and we are going to do sort of a 50th branding. And so the logo was designed by Victoria and also by Veronica. And so, I'm using it right now. I think it's the first time it's been used. And we're going to have this on our website and our social media, hopefully an email signature if you want to use that. But we're just getting started. You're in from the very get-go. And we're excited about all the plans that have been made and are being made. And we want you to join us in the programs, join us in helping to plan, join us by bringing someone, and join us, by just being you and participating. So I think Molly, do you have any more stuff to add about?
Do you want to touch on the founding 50?
Yeah, do you want to?
Sure, sure, sure. So the first launch event for the 50th anniversary, we were referring to as the Founding 50. And as the club, marks this major milestone, we see it as an opportunity to honor the leaders who brought us here, to engage current and future generations of women, and continue to build a future where our potential holds no bounds. And so we have created a group called the Founding 50, and as an opportunity for TPC members, past and present, and people from the director circle, to make a one-time contribution to become part of the group that is planning the Founding 50. And this launch event is going to take place in October. And at that, we will unveil some of the plans for the Founding 50 and some details around the celebratory gala, and talk about the direction of the club. So if you want to learn more about the Founding 50 and the opportunity to make a contribution and be part of that group, you can look at the website, and maybe Veronica, you can put a link out in the chat for that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I would actually say the She the People is potentially our first
True.
50th event, and that's happening on the 16th. I spoke to Josna just earlier today and mentioned it to her. She is because we are unveiling all this 50th anniversary stuff. So we'll just be tying in all the great sort of events and programs already happening as part of the overall 50th celebration. But the Founding 50th, definitely a big one that is focused on like celebrating, and we'll be opening up the 40th time capsule and thinking about what to put in the 50th one. There's, some fun things that we're planning, like having some video recordings for people if they want to do some testimonials, but certainly consider that. And there's a link on the website if you want to be a Founding 50 contributor.
And Terry, later in the year, so the year is actually 1776 to 2026. So it's really next year, but we're starting early because we think it's a great story to tell. And we are planning for a big gala, if you will, not black tie, but just, the size, probably in a hotel for, could be the spring, but more likely the early fall of 2026. So you can stay tuned for that. And as we sort of develop the plans for that, we will make sure to keep you in the loop.
There was a question in the chat from Joe Dur, and it's related to this presentation. Is the new positioning statement and messaging also the club's new vision and mission?
No, it's not the new vision. We currently have a vision and mission, and we are in the process of socializing and asking for feedback on a potential new vision and mission that was an organic outcome of this messaging process. So I think it wasn't expected, but it's a great outcome. But I think we felt like we needed more input, like the board felt we wanted more input into, what other members felt about it. So we're in the process of speaking with every committee co-chair, getting their feedback, and then the board will be making a decision probably based on that feedback in the upcoming September board meeting.
Thank you, Terry. It was sort of an unexpected outcome, so I think the board wanted to slow roll that a little more to make sure they understood what it meant and get feedback from the co-chairs. So thank you. I'm just looking at the time. So anything else? And Lisa, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think, well, there was a question, since we're talking about, the board and timing and whatnot. As you can imagine, we've had a few things going on. So just news for everybody. We no longer have the address 100 Cumming Center. In addition to all the other things, I got to, dismantle the entire office and close it down and get our deposit back. But we gave up the office because and that happened quite quite some time ago because we weren't using it because it was just too far from where our former ED had been and whatnot. So we had decided to do that. But we've done a whole bunch of things in the background, and all these initiatives have been going on. So the board has not yet formalized how they want to approach the ED search process, but it is absolutely forefront on the conversations of the board. And we are talking about it and putting that together. So we don't have anything public to announce. But what I did want to say is we do get a lot of questions, and I don't know if it's partly because people have the perfect candidate. And what I would say is if you know someone or you think we need to be talking to someone, whether the board decides to go interim or permanent or fractional or whatever they decide to do,
Right.
if you think you know someone, please let Marianne and I know, and we'll make sure that those, we keep that going, because we don't want to lose somebody that you might know that would be a perfect fit. And we recognize that in this time of, a lot of government and educational organizations are cutting back and stuff, there's some absolutely phenomenal candidates. And we would like to do that because we very much feel as though we need the ED, not only from an operational standpoint, but really to have someone really in the traffic all the time at the events as they start to, as our calendars start to fill in the fall. We need someone out there just representing the Boston Club everywhere. So, and to be in the traffic.
So Lisa, there was another question about sort of key strategic focus areas, and we talked about the three areas, the three pillars of the stool. But also, I think just, as any organization, your sort of sustainability, your success really is measured on, for a membership organization, your members, your sponsors, in our case, in our voice, and I think also just in our ability to sort of manage the finances of the club. And those are the things that the board has really sort of focused on. And I think we believe strongly that the 50th anniversary gives us an opportunity to really to put our voice out there, to excite both sponsors and new members, and hopefully provide additional financial support for the club. So that's part of our excitement, in addition to the fact that it's 50 years and it's quite a milestone for a woman-led organization. So
yeah, and it's excellent. It's great to be able to publicize to different organizations, to our sponsors and our members, past and present, that we're adding the civic leg. Like, if you really want to know how to get on those, boards, commissions, and state boards and stuff, being able to learn it through the Boston Club. I think that's going to be great. Having that new initiative going on, I really think is a great outcome of this. But it's, our main pillars of our members, our sponsors, and continue the same.
Anne asked if there is a job description for an ED that you can share.
I do not, because we haven't quite decided what way the board wants to go. There's a possibility that it could be, an interim role initially. It could be a permanent role. Those decisions haven't been made, so I don't have anything to share. But I apologize for that. But it's just a bit early. I don't have it yet.
But it would be, should the board decide to go that way, that would be a next step, would be to create the job description. But thinking of candidates, we will still take your ideas. Okay. What else? What other questions, Veronica, are up
yes, there are a couple more that were dropped into Slido here.
Okay, great.
Somebody asked, so we are having the corporate salute at Bentley, a smaller venue than the downtown ballroom locations. Could you say why we made that choice?
Well, I think the choice was originally made in COVID because you couldn't have one. And then the return to the ballroom really didn't happen because it took a long time before people really wanted to show up and do that type of thing. And now it's because we have an incredibly generous sponsor who's willing to facilitate it. So from a cost and a return standpoint, it works very well. I think to do it again at a time when, because to do those big events, you have to lay out a substantial amount of money potentially up front and then recoup it closer to the event. And this just from a cost standpoint and whatnot, and also because Bentley really, really, really likes having us on their campus. And so we're trying to also appease them, who's the lead sponsor in doing this. So That
And
I
also-
think is how we got there.
We've also heard from members over time that, you know, it can get expensive to have to go into Boston into Park. It can take time. The traffic can be terrible. If you know, we've got some great events in the Seaport and we'll continue to have them, but people say, gee, it took us a lot longer to get in here just to the traffic. So we found that even when we had snow last year, people still got there and it was easy. But as always, feel free to sort of send us your thoughts. As Lisa said, we feel that, Bentley's been a great partner. But your thoughts and considerations are key to us as well.
Yeah, and I would also say that there's a idea being socialized about having a big event, like after the 50th, we're going to do the 50th ballroom sort of, setting, but then having the next event be some sort of an event in which it almost becomes the corporate salute combined with the communities, combined with everything we're trying to do, which is really to celebrate the best governed companies in
Right.
Massachusetts and also the best governed nonprofits in Massachusetts. So it's kind of coming off an event that's highly successful in Maryland that Vicky Vikiner's very knowledgeable about, and she's been socializing this with the board as maybe this would be our big annual event, which would be in like fiscal 27. So all that work's being done. I mean, it gets is into the weeds, is coming up with a standard policy for awards, which we have a committee working on. You need a lot of things in place to make sure you can pull this off. And so we have a lot of that working and a lot of that socialization going on, which would answer both questions. It would put the corporate salute type event back into a much bigger venue. And it would also bring all these events together and be able to celebrate sort of all our constituent legs in the same event at the same time.
And you might want to add that, at least in Maryland, it is the event of the year. Everybody wants to go.
It's the ticket you need to have.
Right, and you need to pay for it. So the organization actually does make money on it, which is important. So the other thing I wanted to add about Bentley, because I'd be remiss if I didn't, which is the other thing they offer us is connections. So our sponsors often have connections that we may not as individuals have. So if you went to the corporate salute last year and you saw Yvonne Howe, maybe you've seen her before, I had not, what a dynamite. And that was a Bentley connection. And she was terrific. I was thrilled that we were able to make that connection. So Bentley offers us, they host us, the space and a lot of things, but they've also made some connections, which have been really valuable as speakers and part of the panel. Okay.
So there's a
Veronica.
couple more questions. Yes,
Sure,
we're going to go
okay.
back to the 50th a little.
Okay.
There's a question about the messaging and how it really leans into gender equity, and where do you see diversity of race and identity as part of our mission?
Mhm. Terry, do you want to take that? Do you want us to take it? What do you? Oh, you're on mute.
I think we definitely want to be inclusive of everyone. And whether we necessarily included race or any other qualifiers, I think what we decided, or what came forth from the group, is that we are all women, and we could have said diverse women somewhere, but it's meant to be all encompassing any and all women. And so we didn't necessarily indicate all the different types of diversities that are available. So that it wasn't to exclude it.
Right.
It was more that it meant for all women to be inclusive in that sense. But yeah.
Yeah, I think, we, as Terry said, when she went through the messaging, she started out. So we had 10 people in the room, and we had an additional 4 or 5, actually, I think, questionnaires that they told me took a half an hour, and it took me 4 hours. So that might be a reflection on me, but it was a long, long questionnaire. So they got it in a number of different ways. And I think what we are what we are doing is raising our voice for women, and we are behind women of color. We are behind women with, with other issues, LGBTQ, but our message out to the world is that we want women, we want to advance women, we want to champion women, and we belong at the table. So that's what we're working for. And we have a DEIB committee. They've been very active. We support them. They've got programming. We encourage you to attend. They've had some great programs. And we support all of the women, not just in our club, but all women. And we are making that position well known. And as we said, we believe that having women in leadership positions, more women in leadership positions, will give us a better answer.
And we did reach out and to members of the DEIB
Mhm.
committee, and they provided some of the input. We had
Right.
others who were at the workshop that helped to provide that perspective too. So yeah, we definitely wanted to include everyone.
And our census report, which we will put together every year, regardless of what we're able to do easily, will continue to report on not only all women on boards and in leadership, but also women of color.
Thanks.
I guess Anne France would say, to the extent we can get the data, which, has been challenging. Unless you're talking about global companies, and then it's easy because they have to report for the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing that the global companies are
They continue to report because they have to for everywhere else. So
yeah.
no sense having two
And
sets.
this is just an aside. I don't know if I can't tell if Vicky or Ann are on the call right now, but one of our other members sent us something from California, and California apparently is requiring insurance companies, because obviously they regulate them, that they must report women on boards and women in leadership, or if they're going to offer insurance in the state. So that may be something that will come to Massachusetts as well. Veronica.
Another question. Yeah. So somebody asked about our goal. How much do we intend to raise for the founding 50, and how much is in hand now? And right now we have $21,000. So I knew that, but answer the first part of the question.
I would be happy if every member in the club was a member of the founding 50, to be honest. That would work for me. But I don't know that we set an absolute limit to it. It's a little bit like a double entendre. People think we get to 50 and we're done. I was like, no, you're supporting the founding 50. We don't have to limit it to 50. But I think, if we could get to 50, it would be great. But, I certainly wouldn't stop it at that point.
And I was wondering if, and I don't know if Vicky Amalfitano is on the call. I know Terry and Molly, but I'm just wondering if we could put someplace in our messaging, in our letters or whatever, if we've got strong support from our members for this, it's a message that we can share with potential sponsors. We feel so strongly about this that we've come behind this.
Bless you.
So the last question, we have a couple questions about membership renewal, and I think that I can address this a little bit. So our renewal rates are actually higher than last year. We'd like them to be at 80%. We're sneaking up there. They're right around 76%. We probably will get another handful of members that rejoin because they missed all the communication over the summer with vacations and things like that. So we'll probably be closer to 80. So it's better than last year, which is great. It's been going up a little bit every year, I think, especially since COVID, when all membership organizations were impacted by that. And so I think so really the goal is to have an enriching member experience, from new members to middle members to long-term members. We want all of our members to find value in the club. And so we're constantly striving for that. And that's what we'd love to hear from you. So let us know if you have questions and concerns. Fill out the surveys when we send them so that we can improve the member experience, participate in affinity groups and on committees and things like that. I think all of those things help improve not only your experience, but the other members, because you're doing so much incredible work for this club, and we truly appreciate it. I mean, it's just so exciting all the time to see the energy that all of the members bring.
Mhm.
How do our retention rates compare to other? They're probably on par, Edith. I need to do a little bit more benchmarking with some of the other organizations. And I would guess that, my counterparts at other places would be, happy to share some of that information so I could do a little more digging.
I
And
think pre-COVID, like historically in the club, we used to run around 85%. And then with COVID and with a lot of retirements and a lot of aging out, and frankly, our decision at one point to put the school street age, which is after 7 years in the club and you hit a certain age, they had moved that up to 70. So some people who had decided to retire in COVID at 65 just dropped the club as opposed to staying on in that category. We have since lowered it back to 65. So we've had a number of people this year say, oh, great, then I'll just stay on. And keep my hand a little bit in it, sort of give back for a few years. It's, it's not a huge financial obligation. So I think we might have lost a few in there too. But since we had the dip in COVID, it's coming back each year, and it'd be great if we could get back to 85. But for right now, our goal is to be at least at 80. So.
Mhm, mhm. I think you're on mute, Veronica, were you saying?
those are the questions that I had in Slido, but
Okay.
maybe people here want to raise their hands, and we have 10 minutes left, and answer questions right here. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Doesn't look like we have any more. No? Is there anything in chat? I just want to make sure we haven't missed anything.
I don't think I missed anything.
I'm sure you didn't.
Oh, somebody. Oh, two other. Oh, how
Oh.
many women? So we have 320 members in the club now. And
Mhm,
our goal, and that includes all of our members.
mhm.
And thank you, Anne. I did not address this. Okay, so there was a question about how our new renewals might have affected the number of women of color in the club. And we have not revisited our demographics just yet. We plan to do that at the end of September to give us time to make sure that we have a good sense that this is where our renewing membership is now. Just anecdotally, like I do know that a few members, women of color, have not renewed. So I anticipate that it might affect it slightly, but we will know by early October. That's when we plan to take another look at the membership. Thank you. I meant to address that.
Mhm.
And do we have, what percentage of our members do we have data on?
Probably
They're-
95. So
Okay, that's great.
when people
I just,
renew,
obviously
have
it's just a
to-
question.
No, it's a great question. When people renew, they have to complete some of the demographic information. Now, people can choose the answer. I prefer not to answer. So not very many do that, but I would say that we have accurate demographic information on 95% of our members, which is great. We really appreciate everybody completing their profiles as part of that renewal process and when you're in there. And yes, Anne brought another question to my attention from Slido. I was thinking it might have been answered a little bit in the presentation, but this is a good question. How is the club's impact and influence being felt in the larger community? And what are the club efforts to improve on that with the 50th anniversary, in advance of the 50th and with it? I think you answered this, that with the 50th, we really want to make a big splash and make sure people are aware of our longevity and the impact and the value that we bring to the community in Boston and beyond. So Marianne, Lisa, anybody from the board that was on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, no, it's an excellent question. And I think some of you may have already heard that last year when we had our census report and we were used to getting picked up by the Globe and the BBJ, that they didn't pick it up, and they were very clear they were not going to pick it up. The airwaves were just being flooded with political news. But they said, gee, it's just not that interesting. So, so the work that we did with V2, and again, thank you to Terry for making that connection. They are experts in PR, and they felt that part of what we were doing was to create messages that was actually going to break through. And they are sort of committed to help us to do that. So, and as we're working on the census this year, we're already keeping in mind the fact that one of the things we have to do is to try and break through. So it's an excellent question. We need to be heard. And so I think we are committed to doing that. And we think the 50th gives us that opportunity to raise our voice in a way that I think might be somewhat unique. Terry or Molly or Lisa, anything else there?
No, I think that's great. And we continue to, with respect to the census data, we did go back to, many of you probably know Megan Greenfield, who's a member, who's a partner at McKinsey, and she does a lot of study work at McKinsey. She presents at Davos and stuff, and just said, how could we get our study to have legs throughout the year? And her suggestion was, she said, you're so fortunate because you have industry segmentation data. So if you can come up with a standard template, your members could go to their industry associations and say, you want to hear how our industry stacks up in Massachusetts for women? And that would be a lot of those chapter meetings want, good content. And it would be a way to promote the club, get the name of the, get the Boston Club name out there, and get our data out into the market. So we are also working on that initiative.
Anything else? Please feel free to send us your questions as they come up along the way. We absolutely want to hear from you. And
We're going to plan to do this quarterly. Is that right, Veronica?
yes, the
Yep.
next
Great.
town hall will be in November.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, I look forward to seeing you. There's so many great events. I'm sure we'll see each other soon.
Thank
And
you all
thanks
very
for
much.
everything everyone's doing.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Appreciate it.